Good evening, everyone. I hope you are enjoying your day so far. And tonight is a special segment that I'm going to be doing just regarding my actual full time career that I wanted to share with my audience today. This evening, we're going to be talking about the essential tips for funeral and cemetery planning, and it's a celebration of life. So, I'm all dressed up today because I want everyone to feel nice and relaxed, understanding that when we talk about funeral and cemetery pre planning, it's not a bad thing. This is for us to be able to make sure, whether it's for yourself or for your parents or even just for your family at large, that they are having a great celebration made for them at that time. So enjoy all the information that I provide for you, and I hope that as we go along this evening, feel free to ask questions or drop me a line, and I of course can give you a call directly just to share more information about our topic this evening. So as I said, that the essential tips for funeral and cemetery planning, and it is a celebration of life. Let's not worry about who we should talk to about it. Let's have that conversation first with ourselves. So, celebration is the action of making an important event or occasion by engaging in social activity. In life, we celebrate so many things like birthdays, we celebrate anniversaries, graduations, accomplishments. We celebrate so many things, and we want to be able to capture that in a memorial way so that our family and friends can rewind the time and see all that we've accomplished. So again, celebrating a life is a magnificent thing, even when it comes to that time when we will pass from this life. So, just to give you a little bit about myself, my name again is Michelle Richards, and I am a licensed cemetery director and funeral pre-planner. I have been in this industry for a little over 2 years, and I work with Arbor Memorial, and my actual location that I work out of is Glenview and Glendale, which is in Vaughan and Etobicoke. Why pre-plan? That is the question people ask me all the time. I've done these presentations at churches, just for the public. I sit with families that I have this conversation, and they always say to me, why do I need to pre-plan? Well, this is an important decision that someone will have to make. It's either you're going to make it for yourself, or we're going to leave it for our children or our spouses. And at that time, they're going to have to make some really hard decisions, and it is important for us to leave them with at least a little template of what needs to be done. For example, for myself, I know for a great chunk of my life, I have been an event planner, doing weddings and corporate events, and I know my girls know that I love doing those things. So the discussion I would have with them would be, how would I like to commemorate that part of my life in celebrating at my funeral? So that's a conversation that would need to be had. Now, I have 3 points here. I have provide your family with information that they will need. There are information that when a person passes away that they will definitely need. And then secure your financial obligations. As we know, as time goes by, things get so expensive. Every year, the price of property goes up. So we want to make sure that you have the price locked in today so that inflation for tomorrow does not necessarily impact you. Okay? Then the other thing that I think is important of why we pre-plan is have what you would like to celebrate your legacy. We know there is so much to each and every person, what they've done, what they've accomplished, and even the impact that they have on their family, and they want to commemorate all of those things within their celebration of life. So, what does it entail? There are two things that we have to look at. You've got the funeral package, and then you have the cemetery package. So many times I've sat down with families and they get the two confused, or they think it's all one thing. They might make the funeral arrangements, but they don't have the cemetery, or they make the cemetery arrangements and not the funeral. And it's two separate things. They're governed by two separate entities. You got the cemetery, which is the property. As you can see here, cemetery service includes the lot or the space. Memorials, which is a monument or a bronze, and a monument is a tablet that stands upright and you can read it right across like you're looking at a TV screen. And then you have a bronze, which is a flat bronze that is flush to the ground, and basically to read it you look downwards on the ground where it is. Then you have a vault, which is a cement encasement that the casket will go into, and then you have your fees. As you can see here, we have interment fees, which is the opening and the closing. You have the monument maintenance fees, etc. Now, a lot of, again, questions are asked, how much does it cost? I've given you a rough figure here. For example, pricing for a single person can range from, let's say, $8,200 to $35,000. And then for a couple, it can range from, let's say, about $10,800 up to $44,000. It all depends on what you choose. And that, again, is the benefit, one of the benefits of pre-planning. You get to choose. I've said to my girls, I would prefer to be in a mausoleum. A mausoleum is a building where the caskets are put into the walls. Now, because my birthday is in January, I think it's so important that they'll be able to come there on my birthday or even during Christmas, whatever the case may be, and the weather will not be a problem. But that's just my personal preference. So now, of course, they know that's what I want. The other thing, too, is if you know that you want to have, let's say, spouses, double depth, one on top of the other. Sometimes people have a mother and a daughter or sisters, and they can share a space. Or you can have it side by side. A lot of people have these questions, and when it happens at need, and at need means the person has passed away and there is nothing planned and you're dealing with it at that moment. Sometimes I find it is the hardest thing to wrap your mind around. What would mom want? What would my sister want? What would my daughter want? That sometimes becomes a hard conversation when you are now dealing with it at need. I gave an example to a group that I was speaking to recently in regards to the accident that happened in Brampton. It was a gentleman who lost his wife and 3 daughters in a car accident at one time. And I can imagine how hard it was for him to handle everything at once. That is a great, tremendous loss. It is also a great financial obligation at that time as well. So sometimes we don't expect things to happen in life, and we hope and we pray that everyone will live long and just have that full life. But in life, we do know that circumstances do happen, and it's very unfortunate. I always say as well that having insurance for a car is something we have to have, but we may never use it. I think my mom has never been in a car accident, so she hasn't had to use her insurance. But when it comes to death, it is something that we are going to have to use. So whether we like it or not, death is something that we do have to prepare for. Nonetheless, today, I just want us to focus on the celebration of a person's life and making sure that we put it together. And just like we budget for graduation or a wedding or a baby christening, we need to also budget for something like this as well. So the next part is the funeral arrangements. And the funeral arrangement is governed by the Bereavement Authorities of Ontario. And with this, there are a few services that we have to look at. So with funeral services, you're looking at the actual service. For example, it is transferring the body from the place of death to the funeral home. We're talking about providing the documentations that need to be filed, information as it pertains to embalming. So there's just different elements as it pertains to the service. Then you also have the casket selection. I don't know if you've seen the video or watched it on TV with, I believe it was Aretha Franklin. When she passed away, she had an amazing casket, and it just was a total reflection of her personality and the woman that she wanted everyone to see for her last day of celebration. So caskets are very personal. A lot of people like to know, do I want the wood casket or do I want the steel casket? So you, or the metal casket. You have to make that decision. And again, what color do you want it to be? A white casket or a blue casket? What reflects your personality? So again, picking out a casket is a part of the funeral service process. And then disbursements. For example, we have paying the pastor. You have, let's say, a repast or the reception that's after, the flowers, just the overall celebration. People are now personalizing their celebration with the reception as well, whether it's a favorite color and everyone comes in your favorite color, or they have little pins, or whatever it is, you personalize it and make it your own story. So funeral and cemetery, as you can see, there are two separate things and they have their own costs. And again, funerals can range from as low as $8,000, or depending on what you pick and the packages you go with, depending on the casket you select. Do you want 1 day or do you want 2 days? How do you want to celebrate? There's a lot of things to consider, and that's why I find that the job that I have is such an important one, because I sit with families and I help them make those decisions. Whether it's pre-need or at need, or if someone's imminent, it is a hard conversation to have, but nonetheless, it is an important one to have. So, the official family registry is a booklet that we provide our families with, and I'd be more than glad to have this shared with anyone. So please feel free to put your name in the message area or message me directly. And again, I believe my number is at the bottom of the screen, so you can even call me if you would like to get this registry book. The reason why I love this book, it contains all the information you need. So, like for example, medical information, contacts of friends and family that you want to make sure that your children contact when this happens, so they'll know what has taken place. Information about banking information, like for example, you need to know, or the kids need to know, all your bank accounts that are there. Do you know that there are hundreds of thousands of dollars that go on claim per year by people who have passed away and they did not know that there was a bank account there? Yeah. So it is important for you to leave as much information for your family so they know exactly what is going on, and that they can make sure that all your estate planning, all your estate is taken care of as well. So I did a little quiz, and you don't have to write it into the comments on Facebook, but do it for yourself. So one question I ask when I meet with families, and what I would need to know is, what is your mother-in-law's maiden name? Now, I'm wondering if you know that. So your mother-in-law's maiden name. Number 2, what city and country was your father-in-law born? So the city, the province, the country, or the parish, where was he born? Number 3, do you know where to find all the official important documentations? Like men, I'm not going to tease the men, but half the time the men don't know where the documents are. But for example, where is the marriage license? Do you know where that is? And then the mortgage papers, or all those documentations, social insurance numbers, because a lot of times back in the day we used to have to bring our social insurance number to apply for jobs. I know I'm kind of dating myself here, but now they don't even have to bring it with them. But your social insurance number for your spouse or for your children, you need to know where those are. And there are so many things. Actually, in our book, we have 87 things that you need to know when someone passes away. So again, you can get this official family registry. Just give me a call or email me, and I'll be more than glad to get that to you. And number 4, do you know the password to all your loved ones' accounts? Yeah, that's also important. In this book, you're able to document all this information and also be able to know where the will is. And that's important. And again, if you haven't done a will, it is important to do that as well. Okay, so that's our family registry book, and it just has all the pertinent information that your family will need to know for you. Now, there's a hard way versus the best way. Making decision the wrong way or right way can be a positive or negative effect or result. So I've met with a family where they had about 4 or 5 kids, and everyone had a different idea for mom. Mom passed away. She didn't pre-plan, so they didn't have anything yet for her. And the decision was, does she stay here in Canada or does she go back home to the West Indies? And because everyone was, I guess, tossing to and fro, I think mom wants to go to Jamaica, I think mom should stay, it became a harder conversation because they did not know what they wanted to do. If mom had pre-planned, then the decision would have been made for them. And so again, when someone passes away, the emotion behind it is so hard to take because you're dealing with your loss. And I think we deserve to be able to mourn or to grieve with our loss and not have to worry about other things in the moment. So again, they had to make a decision. And here I'm going to show you the disadvantage of not pre-planning and then the advantages of pre-planning. So here's one thing. The disadvantage is higher prices. So when you buy today and you lock in today's price, let's say, and I'm just making up a number, let's say you bought just a space for about $5,000. Okay, that's how much it costs today. But in 20, 30, 40 years, that cost will not be the same. The advantage of locking in your contract today would be price protection. So that $5,000 is locked. It will not grow to the inflation over time. That is a great benefit. Then the next thing, number 2, is immediate cash outlay. The disadvantage is when a person passes away, then you have to pay that amount of money at that time. So, well, during the time that you're doing the planning for the funeral and for the interment. But if you do it in advance with your pre-planning, then you can have a convenient payment plan. So convenient terms that you can pay over 48 months. Okay, so then you can do that as well. And that takes a lot of stress off of you. Then the next thing is hasty decisions. Did I do the right thing? So many times we're sitting there and now we're trying to decide, does she want this or should I have done this? Then you're tossing back and forth with yourself trying to decide, oh, did I make the right decision? Would she have liked the white casket or should I have taken the wood or the brown, right? So here, you're in favorable conditions. I can sit down with my children, sit down with my hubby, sit down with my sister, and we can have that conversation and make it a smooth decision, and it will be peaceful for us, of course. Then the next thing is decision made alone at an emotional time. Sometimes we don't realize our daily routine changes when we've lost someone. For example, I don't typically take out the garbage. So when the person passes away, you're now changing your daily routine. and then having to deal with the emotional situation of losing your loved one, it just brings a little bit more peace when you have it in order. So making decision made together where we both can have that conversation makes it a wonderful experience, or a much better experience. Then lastly, limited selection. At the time of need, you're going to have the limited selection, whereas when you pick in advance, then you know you have your options. So again, which way do you think would be best for you? The hard way or the best way? Now, for benefits of pre-planning, how can you and your family stay in control? Planning ahead is the best way to keep your family in the best scenario possible when it comes to an unexpected and even the inevitable. So, you can see a picture of my mom and dad. I think you can see them on the screen. Well, I got into this industry when my mom and my dad started to do their pre-planning, and a gentleman sat with them, and I sat on the side with my parents listening to a presentation just like you're listening to right now. And we went through everything. We went through their funeral planning and their cemetery planning, and then he spoke about the benefits of pre-planning. And one of the things he mentioned is transfer privileges. They can decide to be buried anywhere across Canada. So even though we live in the GTA, we can change it to Alberta or Ottawa or Nova Scotia. So again, that is an advantage that you can have when you pre-plan. Then you have protection agreement, payment insurance. Again, as I mentioned, that lock-in payment and the lock-in price. So that is your protection agreement. And then child and grandchild protection under age of 19 years old. Did you know that if you pre-plan and your child or grandchild passes away under the age of 19, that they can get the same package that you've purchased? Again, this is a great benefit for you who pre-plan. And then, of course, the cost savings of no inflation. I know for a fact that when I listened to that presentation, I thought it was a great idea. My parents thought it was a great idea. They went on the payment plan. They finished doing what they needed to do. And now myself and my 3 siblings, we are able to know that there will be no squabbles because mom and dad has put everything in order. And I think that is a blessing for us and a blessing for them because their heart is at ease and they don't have to be worried or stressed about it. Now, here I also talk about the Arbor Alliance program, which is an AAPM benefits, and I have a group of people or group of organization, and I'm going to give a shout out to them: Mount Zion Apostolic, Kingdom Life Ministry, Canada District Council. These organizations have worked in alliance with Arbor, and they have benefits. And again, I'm sharing with you that, again, if you're one of those members, feel free to give me a call and I can discuss your benefits as well. But again, make sure that you pre-plan, and let's do this not for just yourself, but for your family, for your friends that care about you. One of the greatest thing is that we love our children, we love our family, we love our spouses, our siblings and everyone, and we want to make sure that they are taken care of more than anything, that they are taken care of, and whatever we have in our hearts for ourselves, we want to make sure that our celebration, our legacy is remembered, and that people will be able to see a reflection of us when we leave this world. So again, feel free to give me a call or email. Let me know if you have any questions. Also, we have, I've just connected with counselors that also provide grievance service, grievance counseling as well. So feel free to call me if you have questions or anything like that. Again, just give me a call and I'll be more than glad to assist you. I just want to say thank you and be blessed and have a good evening. And that's it for tonight, and we'll see you next week.